Hey guys, Archangel Lucifer in that doorway that was presented in the last video. I'm just gonna keep going forward. Whatever happens next, I'm just gonna keep going forward. And I feel like what I've been going through, whether it's all captured on record or not, I feel like I'm wiggling my way through with something. And I don't think we can put our finger on all these strange things that are happening deep down inside. But we're in the right place at the right time, doing all the right things. And I feel this accomplished. I feel accomplished. And maybe it's talking about, I don't know, topics that make me nervous to talk about. Like talking about my personal life in that last video, or talking about Archangel Lucifer and Satan and Antichrist is stuff based on my experience with it. It makes me a little bit nervous to talk about those things, mainly because I want it to be received. It's like I was saying at the end of that last video, I'm going to title this How to Channel Satan. Because I already know people are going to jump to ridiculous conclusions about it. Instead of listening and exploring, okay, what does it mean to channel? What is Satan exactly? Are you some kind of Satan worshiper? Is that what I'm listening to? Or are we understanding deeper, complex themes here? So I've been introduced to people's reactions, and feel like there's a certain level of patience in digesting information. Yeah, people can be whoever they want to be. Anyway, I wanted to go through that door with Archangel Lucifer. I didn't expect that last round that I was going to go to a neutral place of TVs, like this screen, and the reality stories, right? And what makes you popular, and what is the human race wanting to digest in order to endure this belly of the beast reality that we live in. And so I had to, as you know, if you watched it, I had to acclimate to something of a state of emotion that I was having a hard time reaching, and going through my own conversation of my own life experience, and was helping me to get there. So we're going to go through the door, okay? And we're going to see what's on the other side. Because I feel like I've been working through something inside myself, whether I can put my finger on exactly what it is or not, it makes me feel brighter from the inside out. And so thank you for giving me space to do that. Or thank me, Abbey, for giving myself the space to do that. I don't know. All right, let's see where this takes us today. Archangel Lucifer. He says this is the door that I've been trying to reach. So when he shows me the door, it's made out of really big kind of cement blocks, but in between these gray cement blocks, they're rectangular shaped. There's these smaller bricks that are like a dark maroonish color. So it's got this bricked archway with different colors, and then you have this sort of gray mortar in between the bricks. I find all the details to be important because not every doorway looks the same. As some doors look so boring, and so basic, and so cheap. As some doors are just made out of energy. Some doors are round, and some doors are arched. Some doors are triangular. Like, why is it like that? And so I ask these questions in my own mind when I look at these things, like, why the bricks? Why the rectangular shapes? Why the larger and the smaller? Why the gray and the maroon? Why this shape? Because these details are important. They're part of the message. It's clean, I say. It's clean looking. It's a nice architectural look to it. And he says, what are you going to do? Stand here and gawk at this door? You're going to walk through it? I was like, I'm going to gawk. What, we in some kind of hurry here, Archangel Lucifer? Yes, kind of. I know I have things I have to do today, so the gawking is going to be limited here. All right. I tell him that I have a feeling I'm a little hesitant to walk through the door because I feel like what's on the other side is going to be hard to digest. And I'm going to accept that. He wants to know why, and it's interesting because I'm inspired to do this. He wants to know why I'm sharing this with the world. This gesture with my finger, like I'm stirring up the pot. Why am I doing this? It's something that I need to reflect on. It's something in the answer I was telling you. I'm feeling brighter because I talked about these themes in these last videos, and I'm trying to do something new, but I don't know what the new is, but I am doing kind of the same thing, but believe it or not, it feels new to me, okay? And I keep sharing because my heart guides me to keep sharing. I feel our voices are important. And I'm inspired before I walk through the door, which apparently I already have walked through the door, but I'm inspired to talk about another story from my life. It's kind of like the reality TV is all shattered, and so we're talking about our authentic stories, and maybe you guys can relate to this. We're relatable, you know? And I remember being 14 and I was really struggling with depression. And I worked at a grocery store, and my role was called courtesy. So I bagged groceries and then took the groceries out to the car and then put the groceries in their trunk for them. And so part of the role of courtesy is to be courteous and to be pleasant, you know? So you're a cheerful part of their grocery shopping experience, and you're helping get their groceries in their car so they can just sit in the car or put the groceries in with you or talk or whatever. So here I am bagging groceries and I'm digesting this horrible weight in my gut, and I felt emotionally ill all the time. I felt despair. I felt stricken, okay? Stricken with depression, so something serious. And I remember wondering to myself, because I'm courtesy, like I'm smiling and I'm saying hello, and that's my job. I'm getting paid to do this job. So I'm going to do this job to the best of my ability, okay? And what if I am putting on this mask, I'm putting on this display, I'm theatrically expressing myself in order to play this role that I've been hired to do? And what if I was authentically me? This is me at 14. And I thought about this, like, what if I showed people who I truly was inside? And then how would I animate myself? Would I be then frowning? What would actually come out of my mouth if I were to be the person that I actually felt like on the inside? Would that be appropriate? How come we're ignoring something on the inside that's real so that we can present ourselves on the outside in some acceptable manner? And I was really trying to understand this. And another thing that I used to reflect on is church, okay? So we went to church every Sunday. And I went to catechism, like I had church school as well as public school. And I remember being present in this and exploring what it is I liked about it and what I didn't like about it, and listening to the songs, you know, because singing is a part of the experience. You sit down, you kneel, you hear different parts of the scripture, you do this process where you get the blood of Christ, which I think is kind of creepy, and then the body of Christ, like you're eating and drinking Jesus's body and blood. I just felt that was really strange to me. And I know it's a metaphor. It represents allowing Jesus into yourself. But I thought it was a very strange display. Like, I'm going to do this ritual where I'm going to drink Jesus's blood, and I'm going to eat Jesus's body. You know, I just felt that was really strange. But here I am in this space wondering how many people are authentically here, or how many people are here because they feel like they should be here. And now let's just say you lived in a really small town where people know if you go to church or not. And if you aren't the type that goes to church, which the community then goes to church, is something wrong with you? And I wondered about that. If people go to church because they're trying to present a certain appearance in society, just like I was doing in this courtesy rule. And so here I'm on YouTube. It's YouTube, okay? It's UTV, basically. In conjunction with last message with Archangel Lucifer, this long pathway, this long path of broken TVs. And how do I want to present myself here? So I'm always looking at things, and then I separate myself from myself to see and observe the world, and then observe myself, and then ask myself what is appropriate, which is strange. Like I'm always doing that. I'm always trying to figure it out. I don't know what's actually appropriate sometimes, but I'm dressed nice. I do my hair for all of you, so I'm presentable and maybe digestible because I look professional in some way. I try to speak professionally. So, but this is part of my real world experience. Okay, this is part of the math of myself. This individual part of our society who does this thing that I do. It makes sense that I would find my way to this seat to do these things, you know what I mean? And then for me to go into darker places, which something I didn't tell you guys. Okay, Joe and I were talking about the God of Israel, okay? We were hearing it on random, like, okay, God of Israel, again. So this must be a thing. Like, how many times is God of Israel identified in the Bible, that God of Israel? What is God of Israel exactly? What does that mean? Is that just God, or is that a type of God specifically associated with Israel? So we were curious about it. Most beautiful experience ever, okay? Joe did a journey to the God of Israel. I did a journey. This was in our own free time. We didn't record any of this. The God of Israel was a representation of God that I talked to every day. This representation of God was so ridiculously peaceful and reminded me of what is the truth, okay? What is the truth, The truth is, if you want to grow a garden and you want to do it in a spectacular way, there's a right type of soil for these seeds, right type of sunlight, right type of water. There is a truth, okay? Before trying to sell an idea that, oh, do this magical thing and then everything's going to work out for you, but it's slowly rotting the food over the course of decades, and now we're all starving to death and malnourished because we took some kind of reality TV pathway instead of the reality. So God of Israel is about the reality, the truth. And so as I ask these questions about courtesy and ask these questions about church, and I'm asking these questions about how do I survive this society? What is the most appropriate way to be in society? I ask these questions. Well, here I am talking to Archangel Lucifer. Here I'm talking about Satan, and I want to understand what Satan is. So I go visit Satan in the energy world, and I want to understand these things. But one of the things God of Israel was telling me, which I had wanted to tell you guys, was that we're all going to digest a certain type of poison in our life. We're all going to ingest a type of poison, okay? And through our experiences, all right? So for instance, my poison was depression. So my math gives me the perfect access to the rabbit hole, the wonderland of depression, all right? So depression is definitely a huge theme for me. And it took me into really, 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 really dark places, like darker and darker and darker and darker places, because that's how low I felt on the totem pole of frequency. I just digested myself, like swallowed myself down. I even tried when I was 17 to leave, like committing suicide. I didn't feel like I wasn't going to play this game. I wasn't going to play this pretend. I feel like our world is so full of pretend, and then I have to pretend in order to exist, and I don't know how to pretend properly. So I don't know what to make of that. So pretend my way through life in order to be successful or something. Well, I didn't want to play this pretend game. I didn't want to, and it hurt so bad. And it was so foul, and it was so full of cruelty, just blatant cruelty. I was done. Like, I felt wholeheartedly in my teenage years that if I don't want to be here, I don't have to be here as a soul. Okay. So as a soul, if I want to leave, I can leave. I have the freedom to leave. Okay. If I want to be here, okay, I'm here, but I'm choosing to leave now. So what I would do at night is I would fall into myself. Like, I could feel this happening. I would just slow my breathing down, and then I would fall into myself, like digest myself upon all the way down in my heart. Like, I would go down, 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 down. And then I would pass out. And then a couple of times I actually popped out of my body in the astral plane, which was, I didn't understand what it was at first. I still didn't understand until years later when I found out about astral planes, but I was leaving my body and I wasn't going to come back was the goal, okay? And so when I popped out, I remember I was in my room, and there's the clock, and the clock was a specific time, and it was early morning, like it was like, let's say 4 a.m. or something. So I see the clock, and then I get up normal to go to the bathroom and go back to bed was the approach. So I go to the wall to flip on the switch. The switch doesn't work. And that was strange, but I didn't think much of it. It's like, oh, maybe the power's out. So I just started to walk towards the bathroom, but then there was this horrifying energy, and it was specifically this girl. She represented a teenager, and she was a nasty, nasty, nasty presence, okay? And I was like, oh, hi, who are you? You know, because I noticed there was someone here, but she wanted to kill me. So that was very clear in the exchange that I needed to run for my life. So I did. I started running from my room, which was downstairs, and I ran up the stairs, and I ran to the living room. I was like screaming for my parents to wake up because somebody was wanting to kill me. And then finally, when I could tell nobody was hearing me, I said to God, God, wake me up. God, help me. And there was about a 3-second delay. And then I felt what was like a phone pick up, like my call for help was heard. And then I took this huge inhalation that came up in my bed. And I was like, like, was I not breathing or something? And I look at the clock, and the clock is the exact same time as what I saw in my astral projection experience. That happened 2 very distinctive, memorable times. I feel like there might have been a third one in there, but I know 2 memorable ones, because the other one that I remember, it was a totally different dark energy. So same predicament. I wake up, I see the time, but before I can get out of bed, I feel this overwhelming, like toxic, and it was like this masculine toxic energy that was like I was inhaling and exhaling pure evil. Okay, it was saturated all over in my room, pure evil. And I was like, I actually in the astral just like slowly put the covers over my head. I didn't know what else to do. I'm like, God help me, God help me. And then that 3-second delay, and then click. And then I came up like I was taking this huge inhalation, and I woke straight up from in bed and look at the clock, same time. It's like, okay, maybe me trying to leave my body, maybe this isn't working. Like, that scared the living crap out of me, and I wasn't going to go back there. But now that I've faced so many ridiculous fears, I want to go back there so I can understand this better, but I can't seem to do it. And I think I need to build that muscle. So I need to take some time to really develop and practice it. But it's something that kind of flickers in and out of my mind as something I want to do. It's not like I think about it every single day, which I need to think about it every single day and long to discover more about it in order to be in the right frequency to practice it. Okay? So I'm not able to force myself to be in the right frequency to practice it at this time. Anyway, so God of Israel is talking to me about peace and the poisons, like my life lessons that gave me access to deeper and darker things, and also, you know, the gift of having access to a church experience, so I could learn about the Bible and God and these concepts. And I talked to God every night. I mean, God was like my savior. My savior in life was God. Having God to talk to saved my life. You know, going on walks also saved my life, because it gave me life. It gave me life force. These outlets gave me life force. So, but because of this life path and the poison itself gave me the blessing or the gift to access these darker doorways so I can get in there. And one thing you may not be aware of is that angels are always present with us. Angels are always present, and they're always emanating what is like their source concept. So whether that is, I don't know, like there's all different types of angels. So there's angels of gardening, like I was mentioning, that help us feel a connection with the nature and the plants. You know, angels of peace, right? That help us feel a connection with that power of finding the peace in times of turmoil, you know. So angels of joy, like when we want to get our spirits lifted up. And you have to really choose to consciously say, I need these angels of joy in my life. Now I'm choosing to be present with the angels of joy, because we'll block ourselves from those frequencies without realizing it. And so the angels then, how are they to get to the darker spaces if the darker spaces aren't saying, I want to make a connection with an angel of joy? So I choose to incarnate as a human being, which gives me access to this material plane. Then as a human being, I get the right recipe that I have to conquer it or be conquered by it. Okay, that's the whole Lucifer thing, the madness, or this, you know, in order to, like, I've gone through the madness, but I conquered the madness in order to find my illuminating point. But I'm still conquering the madness in order to find my illuminating point for the rest of my life, okay? So that's just like part of being a human being. Yeah. But this gave me the gift, this is God of Israel is talking, that our lessons, that we are strong enough, we are warriors, you could say, to conquer these lessons, give us access to avenues that are essential, so we could channel something into that space of God, of goodness, of truth, or to seek to discover what that truth is, so we can grow and expand as our soul, right? So here I was given this gift, right, to give me then access to darker spaces, which is the pathway. This is why I'm here. This is what I'm good at. And but it was lovely to talk to God of Israel, because it was so ridiculously peaceful, and it was like giving me permission then to love myself, and everything that I've endured in my life has been a gift and a blessing, and that then I am also a gift and a blessing. And I feel like that's like the window that gets muddy at times, and we got to clean that mud off the window and find out what makes us truly valuable gifts to this world. And how the valuable gifts of our life, which is why I'm not dead yet, because I still have purpose here. You know, that's why it's like you can't leave your body like, well, I'm done playing these games, I'm gonna leave now. No, you don't get to leave. You get to endure and then learn what you're meant to learn, and then be the valuable gift to the world, because we have the gift of accessing each other. The angels challenged to access us unless we let them in, okay? It's like the vampires at the door. Don't let the vampire in. Let the angel in, okay? All right. I've been blabbering on, haven't I? Okay. Seems that me talking about my real TV, my real life experiences is important. So we're getting into this sort of like the grease of this door that I'm resisting going through, but I've already walked through it. So I'm with Archangel Lucifer, I'm looking at it. I say, I choose to walk through the door no matter what I face on the other side. So I choose to catch up with the aspect of me that already has walked through the door. Now I choose to digest what is the reflection, even if it is my next lesson. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. He tells me that I'm still not there frequency-wise, and so all we can do is work with what I can access. How does he tell me that? Basically, there's a whole huge exchange that happens in a millisecond. I see the door, I see Archangel Lucifer, I see myself on the other side, I see myself caught up with myself, I see this big blobulous, confusing thing I can't understand. Then I feel Archangel Lucifer point at what is like my solar plexus and sacral chakra, point here, and there's this like matting of frequencies, and there's one that's deep in there that he can't, like he's trying to point at that one specifically in this matting of frequencies, and he can't even get through to it because I myself can't get through to it. I can't even detect what it's saying. I don't know. It could be an emotion that I don't know how to feel at this time. Did you know that there's emotions? Like sometimes I'm gifted an experience of another lifetime that'll be a foreign alien lifetime, and it is an incomprehensible emotion to me. I have no idea how to translate the meaning of that emotion. It's like being aware that birds see a huge spectrum of color, but they see colors that we can't see. So then it makes you wonder, how can we interpret a color that we've never experienced before? How can we interpret an emotion we don't know? So this could be an emotion that I don't know how to relate to. This could be anything, this could be even something of, I have lost an aspect of my own soul, and this is a hardship that is overwhelming to me to even go face that. So that's like a fragmented part. So that also happens. It's very hard for us to collect our fragmented parts because they were fragmented for a reason. It was a hard experience. I don't want to go back there, okay? That's another thing that can happen. So I just start by touching this matted, blobulous, whatever this is on the other side of the door. Oh, it's too much information all jammed together. I'll have to start with it. It comes back to the whole conversation about the hoarder house. And you clean up a hoarder house just one crumb at a time, right? One little thing at a time. This is like a huge etheric hoarder house scenario, and it feels like an impossible mess, but it's one crumb at a time. Man, all hands on deck here, but one crumb at a time. Okay. I'm going to just take one hair from a huge mess. No wonder I can't access the emotion because everything's all smushed together. And there's a million things. This is it's a worm. I'm pulling out a gray hair, a very long gray hair, but it's a worm. And I'm like, whoa! And I throw it on the ground, like this, in the energy world, because it's a very gross worm. It's maybe 2 feet long. It's a long gray hair. It's a long, gross worm. It's whitish gray when it's in worm form. No, Archangel Lucifer says, I want you to be the worm. Okay. I'll be the gross thing that I don't want to touch. It's hard to be the worm. I'm fully accepting of this. I'm becoming the worm now. Okay, my guides are saying no. We're going to articulate the message differently. I, Abbey, am us. So we are facing something on the other side of the door. We are facing a big conglomeration. We are one crumb at a time cleaning up the hoarder's mess. We are doing it together. We are all in this together, okay? And that you okay? You did it. I did it, you did it, we did it. They're wanting me to change how I'm identifying. It's not just about Abbey, it's about all of us. So I'm going to say it's about you, okay? So I think it puts it into an interesting perspective, because even when I re-listen to this, it'll be saying you to me. And then when you're listening to this, it'll be talking about you doing this, okay? So I feel like that's an interesting perspective. So you did it. You went through the door. You pulled out this long gray hair that grossed you out, and it was a worm. And you said, okay, I can do this. I can be one with what grosses me out. I can do this. So you did this. And you are saying it's hard. It's hard to do this. I don't know how to do this. Archangel Lucifer then tells you that it's hard because the perspective from the worm is then something you'll have to acclimate to. An inconceivable perspective from the worm. And the worm is starting to become something like a really big deal. Like, it could be another parallel to Satan here. It's the worm of our society. It's the worm. But to interpret the worm, you have to become one with the worm to interpret the worm. Okay. I'm watching an aspect here that is stronger than all the rest, okay? This aspect, it's as weird as ingests the worm. But the worm specifically is going into the sacral chakra. So when they ingest the worm, they bring the worm inside themselves. The worm then goes into their sacral chakra. They want it to go into their sacral chakra. It's interesting. It's as interesting as when they ingest the worm, it goes through their root chakra and then into their sacral chakra. Doesn't seem to hit any other energy points. Then they find themselves electrified by the presence of this worm, and the worm gives them direction. It's like a brain in the sacral chakra. And the direction is mischievous. It's sexually mischievous. It's addicted to drugs, mischievous. It's exploring all different sexual approaches, mischievous. It's denying human nature because it's more fun to deny human nature than to be of human nature. It's mischievous. It's like the pious boy and girl become the, rule breakers or something. They become greasy. I start to see that this worm now is opening up this one sacral chakra, and the sacral chakra becomes this accessing. This one then accesses a huge, it's insane. It's like a huge ocean of people. And they all play, it's also paralleling going to listen to a symphony. You have all these musicians and all these people that are playing their instrument and their notes, and all the notes come together to create this song, okay? So it's a huge ocean of musicians and then people playing their instruments, and this is this huge orgy space. It's an insane collective, soul collective orgy space. I'm just taking this in. So you're just taking this in. Like, I mean, you want to talk about gawking at a doorway. How long you want to stand there and gawk at this? I'm just like, and you're just like gawking at this. We're gawking at this. Because this is inconceivable. Inconceivable time, inconceivable influence, inconceivable brilliant ideas to deny yourself your sacred human nature. Your sacred human nature, to defile your sacredness. This represents defiling sacredness. I don't know what to say. You don't know what to say. We don't know what to say. I'm going to watch a persona here and see what they do. They're asked, would you like to join this desecration of your sacredness? Step on in. Partake of the fruits. And I see one aspect jumps right in. Like, this is exactly where I want to be. And it's glorious, but it's forever. And I start to see what was the sacred side of that aspect disappears. Then what remains? Where does the sacredness go? And then what remains? And Lucifer tells me that this is basically just a dead sea. Because when you silence the sound of all this orgasmic noise, it just a hardened salt brick. It's like a burnt pancake. As hard as a rock, too. So I watch you go to this, and you're asking, how can I be of service? How can I, what am I to do? You're saying that. There's a really filthy being that's made out of many bodies, many souls. So you can see the souls moving through its essence. This being wants to open this, is saying this is a door. It's been waiting for someone to come here to open this door. Is to reactivate the pathway of desecrating the sacredness, which is true love. True love is in the desecration of sacredness. And this one is saying that God of Israel, so to speak, peace and divine truth, is a liar. And that we have the freedom to do whatever we want. And if we want to cut ourselves, if we want to take drugs, if we want to have sex with 5 people at the same time, and if we want to, we can. And give God of Israel the finger, okay? Because God of Israel isn't going to do anything about it, okay? And now you know that this being is desperate to influence our world, to give God the finger, and to desecrate your sacredness. And that our world has factions that are motivated by this filthy being's influence to desecrate children, to desecrate families, to desecrate our world any way, shape, or form, because this being wants to give the God of Israel the finger. This being does. I can imagine many people would say this being is Lucifer. It doesn't say that it is Lucifer or not Lucifer, because that's often how we would perceive a fallen angel, is like that, right? I'm going to go be part of this filthy being for a minute. I just want to see through its eyes. You can do this too. It's like you're basically just reading a book. So when I go into this being representation, I'm just going into this book so I can understand what it represents. It's not, there's no attachments or anything. It's very neutral. So I'll either be allowed or I won't be allowed, so that there are boundaries I can't cross, okay? But I have the freedom to say, I want to know, I want to understand this being. Is this a fallen angel? Is this a representation of Lucifer? And what is this, Satan? What is this being? I mean, shoot, why not throw it out there? Maybe it's Jesus' dark side or something. I was saying, I've never chosen to go explore the dark side of Jesus. But if we don't ask the questions, and we can't really know, we think we know, we don't really know. It's like, how to channel Satan. I think I know what this video is about. No, you don't. Guarantee you don't. You know, so as we think we know things. All right. So the information is matter of fact. This is how it presents itself. You do what you want with it. So I become part of this being here. Oh. This was no. There's a doorway within this being that it's very interesting. This door is thin, it's flat. It's a golden door. To me, I felt like it was a door, this being closed on itself. And so I was going to open it so the being could have access to the golden door that it itself closed within itself. So it closed the doorway to heaven out of spite for what heaven then is. Or it's basically like ego, you know. But something tells me inside myself, this being must choose to do what it will with that door. That we must learn how to embrace our sacredness again. I come out of that being and I stand here. We stand here, you stand here. And I tell Lucifer what I saw in there. Lucifer tells me that it's okay to open doors for others. And that we do it for each other all the time without permission, you know. We just are, like me giving you the world this video, it is an open door that would then open doors within others, whether they wanted it to or not. Something said yes to it, somewhere in time and space. So I'm going to watch you go in and open that door. You are strong enough to open that door. It's like pulling a plug of a drain. But this one is really stuck tight. I tell you that you are the divine love, whether you can understand it entirely or not. It's like a warm hug, you know? You are the warm hug. You just feel drawn to the door. You just feel like it's the right thing to do to open it. It's just honor that. It's encouraged. Suddenly when that door opens up within this being, I start to see this being's dynamic changing. Like it forgot what it was. Like it suddenly has amnesia. And it's made out of all these parts of itself. And all these parts start to fall out onto the ground, and they're individual people that are so lost and confused. On the ground, which there's this humongous, vast sort of dried up ocean, salt brick, full of petrified bodies, soul bodies, basically, forgotten about. These are moving, wriggling worm parts that are trying to, it's almost like they're crawling on the ground, but they have no legs. They're just crawling, trying to go somewhere. Then this being is falling apart, and all these worms are coming out of it, which are soul bodies. As they don't know where to go, and they need a guide. And then I hear a voice from heaven, a God of Israel voice here, saying, can you be the guide? Do you know what sacredness is? It's this God of Israel voice is not, is welcoming you into the library to explore what it means to you. And it is a level of goodness, you know, that if you choose to understand what the sacredness of your human self represents, you are on a path to something good, all right? Something good. Then everybody can choose this path. Even if they became a worm at one time or got stuck in the salt brick, at any time you can choose that. That's again what Jesus is a representation of as well, is that pathway to the sacredness. And you can choose at any time. And no matter what you've done, you can choose that. But you also have to accept that not all will choose that path either. Even if it's presented that they might not choose that, that's okay. But the door is open, right? For it to be chosen. So now the door is open for you to ask yourself, what does the sacredness mean to me? And now I hear that my spirit guides are saying that let's skip back to the language where you're just sitting here, Abbey, just gawking at everything. Like I'm back in time, but I'm forward in time, and I just witnessed all this, and now I'm getting caught up in like, what the heck? I tell Lucifer, I'm not... Is this over? Is this ever over? Do we ever reach a finish line? Is this just one of a trillion spaces? Is this a crumb in a million things in the hoarder house? It just makes you feel like so defeated. Lucifer takes my hand and he walks me to the center of this pancake brick thing. Burnt, dried up, hardened pancake stone. And I can see through it like ice. I can see all these petrified souls in here just waiting to be set free. This is gonna suck, but you know how that aspect ingested the worm, and the worm I felt went through the root and then through the sacral chakra? I'm asked to sit here and to ingest this through my root and my sacral chakra, and including all the worms, that filthy being, the golden door within it, to ingest everything of this through these chakras, okay? Through these chakras, root and sacral chakras specifically. Usually if I'm going to ingest negative energy, I just swallow it down into my heart, and my heart, it's just like throwing another log on the fire. So the fire is fueled by then the log. And so the negative energy is just the log in the fire of my heart that is fueling the fire of my heart. It's not water thrown on the fire. It's not putting out the fire in my heart. So you have to ask yourself if negative energy is putting out the fire in your heart, or is it inspiring your heart to get brighter? And so you want to shift into a dynamic where negative energy inspires you to get brighter, not dimmer. It's just something to think about. But here is just the strangest thing, because through the root, the ground that I stand on is what's here, but I'm present here with love and support. And then in the sacredness of time and space and human story, the storyline and souls and all that, is going into the infinite sacral chakra. It's not just mine, Abbey, although I'm going to be the one to feel it. It's like God's sacral chakra, okay? So we're all connected, okay? One soul at a time, so slow. One instrument being played, but the music was hypnotic. The music was misguided. There was a manipulative influence to participate in this filthy act. I'm starting to hear like OnlyFans and pornography, and I'm just all this this distraction from the sacredness of the human body and the sacredness of love. And it's everywhere. It's just men, women, it's in everything. It's saturating everything. It's saturating in the schools, the education system, our TV. This is saturating everything. So I allow myself to be present with infinite time, with God of Israel, with Archangel Lucifer's love and support, with the support of angels. And I just say angels because I don't know how to identify you or you or you use it, but I know you're just so bright and so loving and so supportive, and I welcome you in. And I welcome in the human race too. Because we all have helping hands. We have these hands here, and we can use these hands. Now, when I'm absorbing this to my root and my sacral, but what's weird is I'm starting to break through this density, and I'm starting to fall into this infinite liquid full of souls. They're in between animated bodies and worms. They kind of look like eels under this. It's very salty water. It's so salty, it's almost not water at all. And now I see there's a plug at the very bottom of this, paralleling the very golden door that was plugged up inside that being. So it's a parallel, so I'm pulling this plug. And I start to see all of this is getting flushed down. So it's weird because what gets flushed down is then going through the root and then through the sacral chakra here and to God. So there's some weird mirrored reversals. What goes down is going up. So, it's like what is flat is actually has depth. What is this door is also down here. There's parallels between this being then and the worms that it now are crawling. And then what is petrified within here. And then this humans that renounce then their sacredness, then where does their sacredness go? Then become part of this collective exploration. And then how is this speaking to our human world day-to-day life here? So what is the emotion about it? No wonder I don't know where to begin. No wonder I don't know. All I can do is one step at a time, one crumb at a time, present what is here. And so I let this circulate. It's like stirring up the pot, just like I was talking about. It's stirring this up. Stirring. Vertically, horizontally, stirring. And then I'm just letting this be digested in time with the presence of God, God of Israel, and peace and divine truth and angels. And Archangel Lucifer's illuminating light. And I'm going back to me here, sitting in this chair. So I guess that's everything. Yep, that's it. That's all I can say for right now. And we'll just see what comes in the next video. More stories to tell, more journeys to explore, more learning to be had. Thank you all so much for being part of this experience with me. If I can help you in a session, you can work with me as a one-on-one. like me and you working together to help you accomplish something. You can book a session at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. I'd be honored to help you. You can ask me to look at anything and I'll share my feedback. I'm also on Patreon at patreon.com/abbeynormalswisdomquest. Have a great day, everybody.